Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. You're probably going to hear me repeat that because I forgot to add this to the beginning of the video, but I want to tell this because I just forgot to say it. July 1st in Broken Arrow, that's where the shop in Oklahoma, where the shop is located. There's an event happening in our city on July 1st, and it's on New Orleans Street, which if you live in Broken Arrow, Tulsa area, you realize Broken Arrow has 3 different names for the streets. New Orleans Street's also 161st. Anyway, there's a huge extravaganza going out there, a steak cookout, and also a car show. I'll be bringing the S10 out to that. I don't know if I'll be where the car show is because I don't know if I'll make it when it first starts. But I want to tell you that I'll be out there. If you guys want to stop and say hi, that's fine. Just remember I'm a little socially awkward, so if you want to talk for more than 5 minutes, it's going to make me feel uncomfortable. Anyway, you guys, I will see you later. You're about to hear me repeat this whole thing. And the video will begin. Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing with another video. Now, for those who are new to my channel, and I'm saying this for the last few weeks because I've been getting so many subscribers extra per day that I figure I better tell you what happens. Usually on Sunday I do a heavy tech video, which is what probably most of you have watched. On Wednesday, I typically do a product review of something I ported or something that just came in the door. In this case, today's is about the Profiler big block Chevy heads that I've finished porting. And then on Fridays, typically I do something related to racing. And this Friday's one I'm really debating between LS fanboys and, not that I got anything against LS's, or the new parts that came in for the S10. Debating on that one. You can leave a comment. I'm sure I'll get some hate for that one anyway. But anyway, let's get to today's. For those that watch some of my other videos, you will have seen me flow these sort of stock. These are a Profiler big block Chevy 320 head casting. That's how they started. That is, of course, not what they are now, which we'll get to. I'll probably tell you more information you ever want to know about these. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly parts about them. But anyway, I'm also going to show you flow sheets, so you get to see what it flowed on both flow benches, and you'll get to see what it flowed before and after, but only on the stand yes for that one. Anyway, let's talk about what I did to the head pretty much to make it do what it did. First off, when it came, it had a 2300 valve and it flowed about 380 or so on the intake side, and I really can't remember the exhaust. Anyway, what I did is I cut it out to a larger intake valve. It's now a 2.350 intake valve, and it's now a 50-degree intake valve job and a 50-degree exhaust valve job. So I changed the valve job on both of them. One, because the one from the factory wasn't sealing up. Two, this was going on a larger bore, so of course it would take advantage of the larger valve size. So it's now a 2.350. The chamber itself, I haven't ported this set of these profilers in so long, I forgot what stuff I didn't like about them and what I did like. The chamber, which I showed in my other video, is really, it crowds it right through here. So because it was crowding the valve as the valve would open, the chamber would get closer in this area here. What I did is I removed that material to make it where it would unshroud the valve, and it should get more unshrouded as the valve opens. However, because I did that, I knew that the chamber side would grow. So it would go from like 119 probably to 121 or so. So I milled the heads first, then did the valve job. So that was one thing that was done. And let's look at the ports. Let's show you what's been done with that. Okay. I'm gonna start with the long port to kind of give you an idea. Get my pointer. Several people have asked me about these holes here. On the Profiler big block Chevy head, this is where the bolt hole goes through, by the way. So the head stud or whatever. Several people asked me why I left it open. Does it hurt anything? Do you want to sleeve it? I leave them exposed on a big block Chevy. On a small block Chevy, it's shared, which means this hole here is also shared with the intake port next to it. So on that one, I will sleeve because I've seen power increase differences in that, with the exception of the 3/8 stud, because the 3/8 stud fits the hole so tight, it's really not going to get much air going through. On a big block Chevy, I don't even bother. I just leave them like this on the long port. By the way, the Profiler one actually comes this way. Most others, what they do is they cast other material on it to put a bulge there so that it kind of, so it seals off, but it's better to remove it. Okay, the port itself, if I look at it, I'm trying to do my best here holding this. I made the bowl bigger. I'll go ahead and tell you what the dimensions were on that. It's 102% of the valve. So for those that are with math, it'd be, you take 2.35 times 1.02, and then you know what the diameter is here. The throat's bigger. The throat I'm kind of going to leave you hanging there, because the way I do a throat isn't necessarily by percentages. It's something else I'd learned, and I've been using that ever since, but I'll leave that a mystery. We'll say it's above 91%. Did that, and here's what some things I don't like about the head. So I might as well tell you what I did, but what I don't like about it: the bowl depth. Bowl depth would be, you can think of it from the valve all the way to where it hits, and typically like a deeper bowl. But the catch is, if you make the bowl deeper, I have to raise the port here too. So, and it's not. So there's not a lot of bowl depth, which is one thing I don't like. And this might go over some of your heads, but the short side, which is right through here, that's the spot that actually has the highest air velocity. We have to open up this area to get it to move more air. And there's a couple ways to do it, or a mixture of two. One, you can make the port wider, so there's more area there, or you can make it taller and make more area, or a mixture of both. In this case, because the depth's not very deep, I can't really make it taller here. Not that I would anyway, I hate that move, but I'd like to have more depth. But my thing I don't like about the profiler, and I'm gonna flip the head around so I can kind of show you in a second, is it doesn't have much short side height. So let me move the head and I'll talk about what I mean with that. Okay, so this right here, this part right here would be our short side. And you can tell I've made it a pretty good form now, and it flows quite a bit of air, but typically I want the short side to be taller. I did not take anything really off the peak of this as far as short side height goes. What I did do is I made the bowl wider, so then it makes it wider in through here, and I made the short side match that. The reason why is because, like I said, you have to slow the air down so it can make the turn. The disadvantage of having a really short side is you have to make the bowl bigger to make the air go around it, which are like so. Well, this is one of those things, and I've mentioned it in several of my videos, where the flow bench can kind of lead you astray. Yes, it's going to flow more air because you've slowed the airspeed so it can go across the short side. But in a running engine, you go from a normal, say this size, to this size, back to this size, from the bowl to go around it. Well, air, when it changes shapes or sizes, it's going to lose momentum, and it's going to lose velocity, not velocity, but momentum. And the biggest thing is fuel wants to drop out when you have dramatic changes. So Profile really only does it on two heads. The big block Chevy and their small block Ford. A small block Ford has hardly any height either. So the bowl has to be made bigger so that it moves air. The problem is fuel wants to drop out, and you have to make the bowl larger, so you have velocity gradients is what the word is. It's where the speeds change through the port. So you might have it fast, say here, and then really slow, and then kind of pick up here. We want to keep almost a constant velocity, which of course it can't happen because you still have to turn around this, so it's not always possible, but it's much worse when you've got a really short side. Now, I want you to understand this. It doesn't mean it won't make power, because even if you have a head with a really short side, they still make power. They still will work if you fix it, make the bowl bigger so it can make the air turn. The engine's still going to make good power. It's just if you had a different head with a different design that's got more short side, taller port, in other words, it's raised up a bit so your bowl's deeper, you're going to make more power than this head. But remember, this is my opinion. You can take whatever you want, but that's what I've seen from my experience. And let me draw a picture and I'll try to explain a little bit better. Okay, I've drawn a couple pictures to kind of give you an idea. This would be more of a moderate. It's kind of in between, but to give you an idea, this right here is called the short side. That would be this part right here. This is the short side. This would be the roof. This would be the valve. So air comes up and has air. This would be a moderate short side. Pretend this is the deck. From here to here, you've got some height. Because of that, you have a longer distance for the air to turn, so it's easier to kind of make that turn. This is what you see in some of the small block Chevy heads, and some big blocks have this too, where it comes in. So this is the entrance, by the way. Entrance. Air comes in, and then it has this humongous short side, And you're like, well, that can't be good. And it's not really. This is a band-aid, really. This is trying to fix a bad situation. However, what you don't see is, if you just look at it from this view, it doesn't look very good. But if you looked at it, say, from that side, what you'd see is the port's not staying just like this coming in the valve. As it's making this jump up, the port starts getting wider to it. So that kind of makes up for it, but that's too much. So in essence, on a small blockhead, you don't have quite that much, but you're going to have that. And then you have what I consider for like this head. This is where you have very little short side. So if you think about the air itself, it's real easy to skip right off that. It's going to jump it. This one, it's lost all of its kind of velocity because it's losing it here unless you made it wider, which of course you will. But it still makes the turn. And this one would be more. Now, the ideal one, by the way, is the one that you'd see in a more raised runner head, where it just, boom, into it. And there's your short side. But then again, if you look at it like this, your port height is way up here, so they'll say the deck's way down here. Your taller entrance. That's the only way you could do that. You can't take this head and make that. There's not enough height. Anyway, again, it doesn't mean that these ports don't make power, because there's several examples where they do. If you look at the old double humps and what the super stock guys do, they make a ton of power, and they're similar to this. And it does make power, but having a different design, probably closer to this, and you get things right, this head will make more power. And of course, that one will destroy those. So I know a sidebar from this, but I just want to give you that kind of idea on it. Anyway, back to this head though. So anyway, made the bowl bigger. I made the port itself through this area bigger to match it. So once the bowl's wider, I made it wider over the short side to match it, and then it goes in. The short side itself, let me turn back on my light. I didn't really drop the height like I said, but I did push it over width so I can match it. And the same thing for this is the short runner, which is a pain. This one is so short. I mean, there isn't hardly, and I didn't take anything out. That's what I forgot about. I don't like about these heads. Brodix has a taller one. AFR has a taller one. ProMax has a taller one. Trick Flow has a taller one. These are just so short. So there's that view. Let's flip it over and let's look at the intake side now. And here's our intake view. Now, they were oval before, but I made them a larger oval. What I did is I had a gasket from a Brodix 3 Extra 363, which is an oval this size, and I match it to it. And before someone says, why are you gasket matching? Why you do that? Because I wanted where someone could go buy a common gasket and run the thing. So yeah, as a porter, I can make them whatever shape I want, but in the end, the guy still has to put a gasket on it. Does he want to trim all that out? Some do, some don't. So it's kind of one of those things. This one, to give you an idea, I don't have the gasket handy, I'd show you. The Brodix one version that has this port, it's higher. So like the floor is here. That's the reason why I mean about short side height. The reason why this one's short side height is so small is because it's so down here. If I had the Brodix one, it would start probably 200 thousandths up. So in other words, here on the profiler, it'd start the lower part of the oval right here would start here. Because of that, the whole short side's taller, but also that means they raised them up. So usually it takes the same intake manifold though, because they raise them up here too. Anyway, slightly, or they have their own manifold to fit. There's a bunch of ways, but point is, the Brodix is raised up. AFR doesn't have ovals, but Brodix is raised up with the same oval, causing a larger short side height. Anyway, did that because this is going on a larger cubic inch engine, and what it does is it helps with the area through the pushrod pinch, which would be through here. Kept the oval port design because it's more efficient if you can get away with it. For what this customer is going to do with it, this one's going to work fine for what it is. It's a vast improvement from what he had before. Now, let's see if there's anything else I could think of to tell you real quick off this. I think that about covers it, except for I want to show you some of the difference in the short side. God, come on, flashlight, and it dies right in the middle of taping. Oh, there you are, you're back. There's a difference between the short side on the short port. As you can see, it's got a lot of radius on, let me get my pointer. It's got more radius on this side than it does that side. because the short runner, it's always better to make it this way. It'll take too long to explain, but that's how you kick it down on the short one. The long runner is closer to your more traditional one, and usually it's kind of flat and angled that way. It doesn't really kick down so hard. I didn't want to take, I mean, I could have probably kicked it down, but again, I didn't want to remove the height. This one, I didn't so much move the height, but moved it over, and that's kind of the shape it has anyway from the factory. So it did get moved down a little bit because I made it wider through here, and so that brings it out this way, and also wider through here, so that gives it more radius. But anyway, thought I'd show you that. One more thing about this, because I know someone's going to ask, how do these compare to the Sniper X? Because it's made by Profiler. These don't flow as good as the Sniper X. Like, even with my port jobs and stuff, they're not going to flow as good. The reason why, it's a totally different head. You would think you could just port the 320 and make it, but no. Darren Morgan designed the Sniper X, the 377 one, and he started with a CNC casting, which is a smaller port anyway, so he can move things around. So in this one, I can take out material, but I can't add material, not easily anyway. So his port design is different, his chamber is different, and the head is better because of it. Not that this one's bad. I'm fixing to show you the flow numbers, but I'll go ahead and tell you. This one ends up flowing on the Sanyez bench 432. And then on the Superflow, it went almost 460. Now, how does that compare to the Sniper X? The one I have flowed on my Sanyez, I didn't have my Superflow at the time, it went 442. So, I know they claim higher or whatever, I don't care. I'm just telling you what it flowed on the Sanyez compared to this. It's a good 10 CFM difference. So, anyway, let's look at the numbers. Okay, here are the numbers. Now I want to show you this and try to explain it a little bit. Cylinder 1 would be your long port, that's this one, stock. Cylinder 2 would be this short port, stock. Cylinder 3, which right here, would be the long runner ported. Cylinder 4 is a short runner ported. So really you're comparing 1 to 3, 2 to 4. So if I look at cylinder 1, and my numbers I'm most important about, to me, are 4, 6, and 1. So if I look at 4, this is a strong head to start off with, 289, and now flows 297. So good pickup, very good pickup, and that's a strong number, I gotta tell you. Even though I had some issues I think I'm not so happy about, like the short side, that's a great number. Let's go to 6. 373 stock, 386, good pickup. I wish it was a little bit stronger, but that's a very good number too. And then at 1, 383 to 432. So I mean, that's quite a bit of pickup. I mean, huge CFM number wise pickup overall anyway, but this one's definitely gonna make more power than it did stock. Let's look at the short runner though. 278 at 4 to 287, good pickup. And then 6, you went from 345 to 362, very good pickup there. And then from 369 to 413 at peak, strong. Now let's look at the exhaust. This is the exhaust flow stock, and this is ported. Now some people say, well, 50-degree valve job, you lose low lift flow. Let's look at that. Did I lose it here? Nope, neither one. How about on the exhaust? Nope. And I don't really care about the 1 and 2 number, but it's still gained. But if you look at it, I peak one. Remember, exhaust is kind of different because I'm not as concerned with that because it kind of can lead you astray. If you look at it, the peak number went from 300 to 318. Really good. So, but anyway, let me talk about the valves real quick before I show you the super flows. These are what I floated with. This is a Ferrea Competition Plus 2350. When you get them, they'll be a 45 seat. So of course I have to reface it at a 50 because that's a seat angle. And then it does not come with a back cut, so it does have a back cut, and that's top secret. Anyway, there's that. The exhaust valve, if you watch my last video, I talked about them. This is actually they call it a semi-tulip. It's a 15 degree. It's not quite a nail head, but it's not quite a tulip either. And that's what I use for the exhaust. This one was flowed with a PBM valve, which if you watched whenever I weighed valves, that's what it was flowed with stock. This one is what it's flowed with now. Okay, here's what's gonna shock you. Let's show the Superflow numbers because they are outstanding, and I have a video of me flowing it too on this one. So here, I didn't do before and after, just after, because it takes forever to flow it on it. Superflow, long runner. 400, 298 stout, 600, 401 stout, peak 459. That thing's jamming. Short runner 296, and then at 6, 377, 433 peak. Pretty good. I would like these to be closer, but because the short side height is so different between these two, I can't really alter it to make it get closer. And then the exhaust, again, strong. So really good head. Very proud of this one. If you've got them, they're a good head. Hopefully I've given you as much information as I can about the good, the bad, and the ugly, but that's what it is, Anyway, there it is. I'm gonna try to edit on right at the end of this as me talking. You'll see me flowing the head on my super flow bench so you can see the number. So anyway, and they'll be at peak because it takes forever to flow it. A video would last forever. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. You guys take care. Enjoy your day. And I will talk to you later on Friday. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and flow this head real quick. This is a peak valve lift, but I want to kind of prove it. This is the Profiler 320 I boarded. You can tell it's much larger now. Anyway, this is a 1-inch valve lift, which I know you're like, well, that's a lot. No one's ever gonna get 1 inch. I'm just showing you what a peak flow at. The spark plug's in. A lot of people leave those out to make their numbers look better. It's at 0 before. Let's see what it does. By the way, I floated on the Sanyas and went 432. So same bore, everything else, same clay. Just flowed better on this one. Here are the numbers. I'm gonna flow the exhaust real quick and then I'm gonna be done.